Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. We talk many times about the importance of thought, the importance of really understanding just how magnificent, how magical you are. When you realize that you are the best in what you want to do, what you're here to do, what you've been doing in the world, you can move forward into accomplishing things that you might not ever believe that you could. One of the things that's very interesting to me, we've got to be careful where we say things or we use affirmations to convince ourselves or to set ourselves up for more, to set ourselves up to grow and expand. Because there's times that if we're not careful, our ego personalities think we're trying to convince ourselves and convince them of something that we're truly not. One of the things I like about understanding that you're the best at whatever you're doing or whatever you want to be, you truly are the best that you can be if you're giving your all, if you're moving forward, if you're chasing or you're following or you're accomplishing your dreams. So in sharing with yourself that you are the best, you can accomplish anything that you choose to accomplish. I'm with Anurag Rai. Anurag is an award-winning coach, best-selling author, master NLP practitioner, and founder of Superhuman In You. He's been featured on major publications such as Fox News, MarketWatch, and USA Today. He's helped thousands of individuals to end suffering and start thriving in different areas of life and business. Anurag started his journey when he first moved to the UK from India with 100 pounds in his pockets, 4 sets of clothes, and 0 contacts. He went from being homeless to owning 4 successful businesses in the past few years. Anurag Rai, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Definitely, yes.
I'm so excited to have you here, and I want to share with the imagination that you're in England, halfway across the world here today, sharing some magic of who you are and how you became the coach that you are in this moment and how you're helping so many people. So before we dive into some specifics, could you share a little bit more about you and what you're doing?
Yes. So as you mentioned very nicely in my intro, that I came to UK a few years ago now with just 100 pounds and 4 set of clothes. And from there, I have had plenty of experience creating and losing and then creating again. And I've had major turning points in my life, which we'll maybe talk in detail further down the conversation. But one of the points was when I lost everything I had in my restaurant business and basically was living in a dark room, like storeroom of my restaurant next to spices and rice, sitting on the floor, wondering what happened in my life. And I think that night I had some deep conversations with myself. And because of those conversations, my life shifted in a direction which led to Superhuman In You, which I do at the moment. So after that night, though, I continued to run my restaurant business. And then when my son was born later on in 2014, I decided to become an accountant. That was another turning point because when I went to study accounting, I had done a lot of damage to my body and brain, which by living a typical entrepreneur lifestyle, working long hours, doing that hustle. So I knew that in order to learn something, I had to work on my mind first. And that's when I spent the next 4 years working on myself, kind of using myself as a guinea pig So trying different techniques, tools, NLP, mindfulness, meditation. I read lots of books, attended lots of seminars. And what happened was the transformation that happened, due to which I was able to finish a 3-year qualification in 9 months. And once I did that, I realized that I found something new. And one of the things that helped me really was meditation. And that's why I wrote my book. So I decided to write my book, which is called The Power Within. And it talks about different ways to meditate. And on the back of the book, people started approaching me that where could we find more about you? So I started giving unofficial coaching, and I enjoyed it. And the people who I was coaching, they got really great results. And I was loving the transformation in them. And that's when I decided to, okay, well, this could be a full-time career. And I think I found my thing, I found my passion. And last year, when the whole world was in lockdown, I decided to quit my corporate job with a Big Four accounting firm and become a full-time coach.
Let me ask you this. What would you consider your biggest wake-up call to start following the calling? Because obviously this is a calling. You can tell by just the look on your face, the excitement that you have, and the fact that you truly are living your passion. What was the wake-up call that really got you moving in that direction?
I think one of the factors was definitely lockdown, because I think not just me, a lot of people were forced to slow down because of lockdown. And the other thing was because I could see my friends and the people who I was working with and people around me, like people were struggling, people struggle. And one thing that I always talk about is we don't suffer because of our problems. We suffer because of our thoughts about those problems. And I knew the answers to their suffering in a way, because I had done it for myself. I was in their position a few years ago. And in a way, I felt obligated to kind of help. And that's when I started writing blogs and books. But the key turning point for me leaving a comfortable corporate job, I think, was when I saw the results, when I saw the transformation. Because when a life changes, it's not just one life that changes. There's so many lives around it change, because all of us touch so many lives day to day.
So true. One of the things that you said earlier that I found really interesting, and I'd like to kind of tap into that a little bit. You said 4 years of your own work to get where you are right now. First, I'll explain why I think it's so interesting, and I want you to share with the audience. For me, when I really started stepping into who I was meant to be, I still wasn't sure what that picture was looking like. So I started on a certain journey, and then there was some wake up calls for me to start looking at life a little bit differently. And what I realized was that I had to do all my work before I could share it with someone else. And my journey was 8 years. And that 8-year journey led to Imagine Miracles. It led to this podcast, all the coaching and training and teaching I do, it all led to that. And the one thing that was important for me was that it never had to take 8 years for someone else to take the same journey. Could you talk to us about how you learning, growing through your 4 years helped you put something together to make it easier for others?
Yes. So I did not have a coach or a mentor when I first started. So one of the reasons why it was 4 years was because I was learning on my own. So I was reading lots of books. At one point, I was reading 4 books in a month, listening to audiobooks, and then I attended seminars. And because of some of the things that worked, and then the other things did not work, I was kind of experimenting and researching. And that's what I feel that within that 4 years, I've found things that do work, and found things that have given me the most result. And because I did not have a coach, now I do have a coach because I know the power of coaching. At that time, it was more like reading a lot of stuff and then trying to figure out what works for me.
I have to agree with you how important it is to have a coach, a mentor, sometimes several coaches. It all depends on their expertise and where you're trying to move and grow. Let me ask you, as you built your program, and as you said, a lot of it was trial and error. How does having the ways that work for you and the ways that didn't work for you, How does having all of those in your toolbox help you as a coach?
It definitely helps me a lot because there are some of the things that did not work for me. But when I see some of my clients, I know they could benefit from it because we are all slightly different. So having done all this, one thing is to read about the sunset, and the other thing is to experience the sunset. So I think because of all the work that I did in 4 years, that helped me experience the sunset. And in order to be able to take somebody, hold their hands, and take them to that experience as well, and maybe hopefully in a much quicker time.
I think it's amazing that you shared hold their hand, because that's what a good coach does. I was doing some research and looking at your website, and I liked when you talked about a coach being there to pull you along, push you along, but also to walk hand in hand with you through the journey. So I really liked the way you described a coach when you were talking about that. Speaking of being a good coach, could you tell us what you see a good coach as, and what people should be looking for in their coaches?
Yes. So this is what I say in my very first session to my clients. The work that we do together, only 5% of the results will come from the strategies that I share, because we live in an information age. So information is everywhere and people can get it. Yeah, they'll find maybe a bit longer to find the right information, but information is not the key. The key is 45% of the results they get is by the presence that we create in the room, is that connection. And I think anybody who wants to hire the coach, and that's why I offer complimentary coaching session, because if that connection is not there, I could not get you results, and I would not take you as a client. And same goes for the client as well. They should look for that connection with the coach as well. Maybe they should try 3 or 4 coaches and see which one suits them the best before they make their decision.
As you're truly making a transformation in your life, there has to be trust and surrender. And if you don't trust the person that's trying to pull you along or push you along, it can make the journey really tough, or you have a tendency to quit the journey altogether. I also, what I liked about what I saw on your website and what I've learned about you is that you're very understanding of the fact that your way is your way, and each person that you work with needs to find their way. How did you come to that understanding, and how do you make that work in your coaching?
That's something really powerful, and that's what I aim for in my coaching sessions as well. So this is something that I would say in a session, that it's not what I say, but what you hear will get you results. So we are aiming for insights, not information. And that's what happens. So sometimes in a powerful coaching session, when 2 people are fully present in a room, wisdom is created, like things that are not, like I may not have said before, I say it. And sometimes what I say is not what they hear, and they hear exactly what they need to hear at that time.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it, that happens? And on the other side of that, sometimes people hear what they want to hear, and it's not necessarily positive for them. So it's really getting into that space of acceptance and willingness to grow and share more with your coach, and share more with the people that are there to help you along that journey. So I love that you brought that up. You talked about how important meditation was for you. Could you share with us what you get from your meditations and why you meditate?
To start with, I started meditating when I was 15 years old. So I started a while back, but somewhere along the line, just like every other people, I kind of got frustrated and did not do it very often. I would do it for 2 days, and then I would say, well, it's not getting me results, and I would just quit. But after that incident, which we described, like a short while of homeless experience, I made a commitment that I'm going to do it. So I will focus on the process, not the result. And because I continued to do it slowly and slowly, I realized the transformation. It's like going to gym. You don't get results straight away. You get the results after some time. And I started studying about meditation as well. And what I realized was most people fail in meditation because they are doing it the monk's way. So the world we live in, We cannot sit down on a mat and ask the brain to shut up and it will shut up. So what I feel is there's different kinds of meditation, and based on what kind of person you are, whether you are a more auditory person, a more visual person, or a more kinesthetic person, you can choose and maybe try a few meditation techniques and then take it from there. Ideally, the goal is not to get the brain to stop thinking, because if you think about it, when we are sitting down in meditation, we don't want our lungs to stop working, our heart to stop beating, or our liver to stop functioning, but we want our brain to stop thinking. The goal should be that you can see yourself separate from your brain. So you be the observer rather than the thinker.
I had a mentor that shared with me, because I went through the same process that you're talking about. This is the way it's supposed to be done, and I've got to be quiet. And the mentor, actually, it was Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, shared, if you can get into a meditation and you can see yourself standing on the shore watching the boats go by, then, and as long as you're on the shore, you're in good shape. As soon as you climb in a boat, you're in trouble. And that always worked for me and got me started moving in the direction to really tap into the guidance, to tap into the information that's available to us. Talking about tapping into guidance and talking into the information that's available to us. I noticed in your website, you talked about the universe and what the universe provides for us. And I was really interested because I'm a quantum physics guy. I love energy and how energy affects us in our day-to-day. You talked about bending reality. Could you share a little bit about bending reality?
Yes. So this is a concept that I first came across when I was reading Steve Jobs' book, the biography of Steve Jobs. And in the book, there's a number of times they mentioned bending, like Steve Jobs' ability to bend reality. And I like the word. So there's some people talk about law of attraction, right? And I prefer the word bending reality better, because I feel that once we are, so there's an equation which I like to put it in order to bend reality, and that is intention plus belief plus action. So just setting intention and visualization is not enough. Obviously, we need to take the action. We need to have that rock solid belief as well. And the reason why some people sometimes do not see the results, they feel as if they cannot bend the realities, because they get too much focused on the goal. So there's a time gap between what we want and what we get, and that time gap is good, because obviously it takes universe time, because lot of energy needs to be created and recreated and folded and all that. But just imagine that if it would have happened instantly, we would think of an elephant, and an elephant would drop from the roof. So it's not good for us that it happens instantly. It's good that it takes time. But the best way to do this is have a goal and then forget about it. Focus on the action. Focus on the day-to-day process. Don't do things for happiness. Do things with happiness. And that's when we are in that right energy state to get whatever we want to create and to bend reality, like I say.
I love the way you put that. We talk all the time about raising your vibration, aligning with what you want. But when you put it with do things with happiness, that puts it in a whole nother context. And it's sometimes it's an easier context to hold on to when you put it that way. How do people know what to take action on?
So often most people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. And in order to get to know what you really want, one of the questions is, I'm sure you would have heard about this before, is what would you do if money wasn't an issue? The reason why people struggle is because they think that about how before they think what. But in order to bend reality, in order to get what you want, you need to think what first. The how will figure itself out. So if I had to go from here to, let's say, London, the first thing I would do is decide that I'm going to London and put it in the sat nav. Yes, on the way, there might be roadworks, there might be closures and things like that. And I would change, turn, twist, stop, whatever I need to do. But if I know I'm going to London, I'll get to London. And that's why before we worry about how, we need to know what. And in order to find your what, the first question is why. Why do you want it? Is it somebody else's dream, or is it really you want it? Because most of us are living other people's dream these days.
That's so important and so true. One of the things I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, because I think you have the answer for the imagination, and I think it'll be so helpful to them as they get to hear a perspective that's this very similar to mine, but different. And I just feel that you have this to share. So in the US and most highly developed countries, we've gotten ourselves to a point now where as soon as we have an idea or we have a want, we go to the place in our brain on why we can't have it or why it won't happen. How do you help your clients get beyond that?
There's two things usually: self-esteem and confidence. People try to build confidence without self-esteem, which is impossible. So self-esteem and self-confidence, one comes from being, the other comes from doing. So the confidence will come later as we continue to take the action. The first step is self-esteem. And self-esteem is something like, if you went to gym and you closed your eyes and you thought that you are a very weak person, visualize yourself or said to yourself that you're a very weak person, and then try lifting the weight. You would lift less than you usually lift. But if you close your eyes and told yourself, I'm Incredible Hulk, imagine yourself as Incredible Hulk, and then lift the weight, you'd lift more. And that's the power of self-esteem. So this is what I suggest to my clients. Whenever those kind of thoughts come in their mind, I ask them to look back at the evidences in their life where they've done something really challenging. If they don't have anything, they can take an example of walking and talking. That's really challenging. And no matter what the circumstances a child is in, every child in the world, unless they have some form of difficulties, every child in the world walks and talks. So it shows that we are resilient. We are capable of things we want to do. So take that, start from there, and then know that any thoughts that is coming usually is, so there's conscious thinking and unconscious thinking. So usually the self-criticizing thoughts that are coming, if we don't want them to come, they are unconscious thinking. And the best way to deal with unconscious thinking is to ignore them, to don't take them seriously, because it's not your thought, it's a thought. Just like our hair grows and we cut it, our nails grow, we cut it, our mind thinks, we can ignore it.
So here's an interesting question for you that it's kind of a follow-on to help people on this journey. How do you not think a thought?
Because it took years of evolution to have the cerebral capacity we have, and now we are suffering our intellect. So it's not possible to not think a thought, but it is possible to think a thought. So if I said to you, don't think of a red car, the first thing you'll think of is the red car. But if I ask you to think of a white car, you're no longer thinking of the red car, because our brain cannot have two thoughts at the same time. So I like to use this example of, suppose you're working on a computer and you go on a buggy website and a lot of pop-ups start opening. What do? Do you start browsing the pop-up, or do you close it down?
Very good example. And I, once again, I love the way that you share that. It's choosing the thought you want to think, not trying to get rid of the thought that you're thinking. And that is so powerful when you can step into that place.
Exactly.
Anurag, could you share with us a couple examples or an example of some of the transformations that you've experienced with your clients using the work that you've shared with us?
So one thing that I would do with my clients is, in the very first session, I will ask them, what's their 3-year vision? And that gets them excited, and they share me all that, whatever they want to do in 3 years. And often it's a hard goal for them. It's something they're not sure whether they will achieve. But the next thing that I say is, ask them is, how can we achieve that in 6 months? And what happens is, when you start asking those questions, you start getting the answers. You'll never get the answer to a question you never asked. So we start from there. And a lot of my clients have managed to, well, all my clients at the moment have managed to get all their 6 months goals achieved. And the reason is not because it's something miraculous. The reason is because we waste so much time and energy every single day by not being able to decide, by thinking too much, by focusing on wrong things. And this is what we work on. We work on to create an inside out reality rather than getting our outside affect our inside.
In that journey that you have with people, what's the biggest barrier that you come across when you talk to somebody about, oh, let's get your 3-year goals done in 6 months? What's the biggest barrier you run into?
To help them to believe they can do it. That's the biggest barrier. Because I've seen result, and I know sometimes I don't even have to believe it's done. Like I don't have to know how it will be done, but I still believe it that it will be done somehow. And to get them to come to that place, I think that's the biggest barrier. And sometimes some clients can't come to that place, and that's when they are maybe not ready to work, because we both need to believe. We don't need to know how, but we need to believe that it will be done.
And that goes back to the same thing that you were talking about with self-esteem. It's really bringing the thoughts in that will support you, and being in that energetic level, like you said, that you're going to create. You're not the weakling, you're the Hulk, right?
Yes, exactly. One of the mantras that I get them to practice every day is say to themselves, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best father. I'm the best businessman. I'm the best leader. I'm the best everything. They say, I get them to say I'm the best. But sometimes when I share that concept with them, they feel a bit as if it's like being arrogant. And that's when I explain them that there's difference between arrogance and self-esteem. And the difference is only I'm the best will be my arrogance. I'm the best is my self-esteem.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Believe it or not, we're running short on time here. I was wondering if there's one thing that the audience takes away from your time with us today, what do you want that to be?
Imagine life like it's a game that we cannot control. So what happens inside the game is not in our control. And while we cannot control the game, we can all become a better player.
Awesome.
Yeah, focus on becoming a better player, not controlling the game.
As you're becoming a better and better player in your life, what's your divine intent? What's your mission? What do you want? How do you want to change the world?
So one of my vision, well, this is where the whole business is around. And my vision is to impact 1 billion lives. And that's why I write books as well, to get that wider reach. So if I could have some positive impact in at least 1 billion people in this world, I would be a happy person, very happy person.
And you can do it.
Yes, because I'm the best.
You are the best. How can people get in touch with you, Anurag?
So they can visit my website, which is www.superhumaninu.com, or they can send me an email at anurag.rai@superhumaninu.com, or they can connect with me at any of the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Excellent. I'll make all that information available on the show page. Just go to themiracleyou.com, look for Anurag Rai's episode, and that information will be available to you. I want to thank you for, first of all, being here today with us to share your insight, to share your understanding. And I also want to thank you for making the difference in the world that you're making, and really following your divine intent in changing lives and touching 1 billion people.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show, Vince. Thank you.
On behalf of my wife, Mary, the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.